Hello Minecrafters, Arctic Shark Games here coming at you with another Minecraft Bedrock Edition command tutorial. Today's tutorial is going to be on the execute command and the changes with the upcoming creators features if you toggle on the experimental mode. Please go ahead and like and subscribe to this video here if you found it helpful, as well as please go ahead and feel free to join our Discord. There'll be a link in the description if you guys are stuck on any commands. And go ahead and try our best to help you there. So basically what's going on here is in the next coming updates, I suspect that Minecraft is going to go ahead and migrate the execute command over to the Java version of the command. And what that means is we're going to see a lot of changes compared to the OG version of the execute command that some of you guys are used to. And I was pretty resistant to this change at first personally, but now that I actually went through all the changes with this particular video here, I think you guys are going to be sold on it as well. We're going to really be left in the dust without this command. The Java command is a superior version. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it here. The /execute command, if you go ahead and type that in the chat here, we can get a bunch of different options popping up for our syntax. You can see that we have quite a few options as compared to usual. We have the very basic /execute run. Then we have positioned at, as, score, entity, blocks, and block. So we'll start off right here with /execute run. Execute run is the basic version of the command, and it's going to just do what it says there. It's going to run a command for you. So we can see I have /execute run, say, subscribe to Arctic Shark. And if I run that command there, it's going to just say in the chat, subscribe to Arctic Shark, as usual. So that's basically just a replacement for running commands for you in a command block. And then this here is positioned. So this is /execute positioned, and then you choose a set of coordinates, and we're going to run an effect this time. I chose levitation. So what this is going to do is it's going to be used to go ahead and execute a command at a specific coordinate area that's separated from the command block. So we're going to go ahead and execute the command at that gold block there. You'll see when I turn this on and I walk over near this gold block within a radius of 2, anywhere inside of this little area that I have, it's going to go ahead and make me levitate up in the air there. So basically that's just going ahead and choosing a position that is far from the command block. Our next one here is execute as. Execute as is used to execute a command as an entity. So it's the only way to use at self in the command block is you need to actually execute as an entity. So this would be in our minds here as if this skeleton was actually going ahead and typing the command in the chat. It'll actually execute at self on that skeleton there. So basically what we have going on here is I have a zombie over here next to the skeleton, and these guys are friends right now, but they're not going to be friends after we run this command here. What we're doing here is /execute as at entity type equals skeleton and a radius of 10. So I'm choosing the skeleton nearby this command block, and we're running a command. We're going to run a damage command, and we're using at self in this command. Because we executed as, we can use at self. So we're having that skeleton give itself 0 damage, entity attack, and it's attacking a zombie within a radius of 10 of itself. So that's a little confusing there, but if we turn this on here, this skeleton all of a sudden feels like he's getting hit by that zombie, so he's going to go ahead and start attacking that zombie. This is the only way that I know of is to use at self at an entity, is how you can make entities attack each other. So that's pretty simple there. That's how the as works. This is at. So at is I'm going to actually execute rather than as an entity. It's going to use the location the entity is standing at. So right now we're actually going to choose a position that's standing above this armor stand's head. So if you wanted to choose above a entity, we're going to use a couple of tildes to do that. But basically you need at to choose a location relative to the entity that you're executing at. So we have /execute at entity type equals armor stand, name equals shark in this case, and then we're running a set block right above his head, 2 blocks above his head there, with a redstone block. And because we did at, not as, this is going to happen above his head. Had we done just as, this would happen right above the command block if we had done the same tildes. So we're going to execute that, and boom, we're going to go ahead and subscribe to Arctic Shark Games here if you guys are finding this video helpful. So we'll move right on to the next command here. The next command is as at. So this is basically a replacement for a double execute command on the old version. And we're just going to use a basic teleporting command to spin that armor stand around, was all that is in the first one. And then here's the actual execute command. So we're executing as an entity, and then we're at the entity running a command. So we're running a particle command in this case, and I chose a flame particle, and then we're going to have that go around the armor stand as he spins around. So you can see we have a nice little flame particle spinning around that armor stand. I can see quite a few uses for this right here. This is basically able to go ahead and combine the as or the at, and this has quite a few options for us. So the next one going on here is execute if or unless. So if and unless are basically the opposite of each other. So anything that you do on the if command, if you just change the word unless, you will get the opposite result. So this is basically a replacement for the detect command when we were previously trying to detect a block in a certain location. So what I have going on here with our if version of this is / execute if block, and then we're detecting a block underneath the command block is a gold block. We're going to run the phrase turned on in a say command. So if we turn this on here and I go ahead and place a gold block underneath this, this is going to spam the chat saying that it's been turned on because that gold block is there. And then once I take that gold block away, it'll eventually stop saying turned on to us. And then this one here is the actual opposite. So if I go ahead and put a gold block underneath this command, it's going to run only if a gold block is not underneath the command, basically. So / execute unless the gold block is in that position. We're going to say turned on. So you can see right now I just turned that on, and I got a gold block here, so it's not talking to me. But if I take that gold block away, it realizes it's not there, and it starts talking to me again. By putting gold block there, it now has stopped. So that's basically how you would use if and unless. If you wanted to detect a block under a entity, you would combine those with the at. So you would execute if a block is at a entity. So that's what we have here as at if. So we're detecting a block at an entity's position with this one here, and we also have the unless as well as the if version of the command. So this one here is / execute as a player within a radius of 10, and then at yourself you're going to run a command, and that is only if a block is underneath your feet, a gold block. We're going to run the command checkpoint reached. So when I turn this on here and I stand over here, you can see that it's running a command as me. It's saying Arctic Shark Games checkpoint reached. So that was only running a say command to myself in that case, because we're executing as self. Now this here is actually the opposite version of that command. This is going to execute unless I'm standing on a gold block. So when I'm standing out here in the grass, it's going to yell at me, and when I get in the gold block, it will stop yelling at me. So what that looks like here is / execute as a player at self unless a player is standing on a block, and then I did under my feet gold block, and then we're going to run a stand on a gold block now say command. So it's going to yell at me to stand on a gold block, which you can see right now it's telling me to stand on a gold block right now. And if I go ahead and stand on that gold block, that command stops. So I'm sure you guys could see multiple uses for something like that in games and stuff like that. You kind of use your imagination. So this one here is if or unless entity. So you're executing if or unless an entity is in a particular area. So basically what we're doing is, if there's an entity over in this area here, we chose a villager in this case, these commands are going to run, and if there is not a villager over there, a villager in this case, then this command's going to run. So we'll start off right here. We're going to turn our two commands on before I show them to you. Right now I have no villager, so you can see this one here, that unless a villager is there, is starting to spam the chat. There is no villagers. And then I just have a mechanism there that's going to automatically spawn villagers for us once I get this started. So you can see that we have a villager there, villager spawned in, then it says there's no villagers, villager spawned in, there's no villagers, and so on and so forth. So we'll turn that off there, and we'll go ahead and kill our last villager. And then we'll shut these off as well so the chat stops getting spam. So the one that go ahead and runs a command only if a villager is in the world in that area would be this one here. It's / execute if an entity, and then you do your entity type equals villager, and I did a radius, and you're going to run a say villager spawned in command. And then this one here is the opposite. It's using unless an entity of villager is in that area. It's going to say there's no villagers. This one here is if score. So you can do if or unless a score is a particular value or a certain score on the scoreboard. So let me just go ahead and make sure I got my score reset here. We're going to remove my points from us, and then we're going to go ahead and check this out here. This is / execute if score of a person in the radius of 10 On my test scoreboard objective matches a score of 1. We're going to run a say command at myself, point earned. So we'll turn this on here and we'll go ahead and give myself a point. Set test score for Arctic Shark Games. And then... oh, here we go. I didn't have the lever on. Okay, so now we have given myself a point, and you can see it's going to spam the chat with point earned as long as I have that point on the test score scoreboard, and then when I remove that point from the test score scoreboard, it's going to stop spamming the chat. Oh, I forgot to label this one here, but this one here is execute if blocks. So if blocks or unless blocks. / execute if blocks, and then this is set up sort of like the clone command where it has a target zone and a destination zone. All run, and then you can also use masked instead of all if you're familiar with the clone command. And then this says run / say blocks match. So this is going to basically tell me these two blocks are matching, and then this one here is going to do the opposite, and it's going to yell at me if these blocks are not matching. So go ahead and turn this one on here, and you can see that the blocks are in fact both diamond blocks and they match. If I break that diamond block there, that chat stops spamming. And then this one here is going to run at us unless the blocks match. So basically right now the blocks match, so this command will not run at us. And then these commands do not match anymore, so these are no longer good, and it's going to start spamming the chat for us as well. I went through these pretty quick here, so I'm sure if you guys have any questions or anything like that, you can go ahead and throw it in the comments there. If you'd like me to make a video on any of these sections of the execute command, a more dedicated video that is, please go ahead and let me know in the comments. If I get enough likes on this, I will go ahead and break down several of these videos, or several of these execute variations on their own video. As well as I forgot to mention here in the execute if score, there is also several variations in here, so we can go ahead and type in / execute, and then we'll write if score, and then we're going to choose a person, so we'll choose FP, and then we're going to do a scoreboard. We're going to choose test score, and then we're going to go ahead and look here. Now we have a bunch of options. We have our little triangle there and equal sign for our greater than or less than. So what that means there is the first one can do a command that is a score that's greater than, or I'm sorry, the first one is less than, the second one is less than or equal, the third one would be equal, and then we have greater than or greater than and equal, or then you have matches exact, which is the one that we use in that example there. Matches means that your score is going to be exact. Greater than or equal to would be if you're larger, or equal to, obviously. Greater than would be only if you're larger. Equal would be only if you're exact. Same thing as matches. And then less than or equal to would be only if you're equal to that score or less. And then you have less than as well. So this is sort of a big expansion on our existing scoreboard players test. This gives you quite a few options that are different from the normal scoreboard player test command, and it definitely is going to be very handy for some of us there that run certain types of test commands. Well, anyways, if you guys found this video helpful, please go ahead and like and subscribe over here to Arctic Shark Games on Twitch and Arctic Shark Games on YouTube. Throw a like on the video, and if you're feeling like it, please go ahead and join our Facebook group, Arctic Shark Games, as well as the Discord, the Shark Commanders. There'll be a link to all those in the video's description. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, keep commanding.